Alex sat in his office, gazing at the city through the panoramic window. As an architect, he often experienced the rhythm of big cities, but Venice was different. This city, with its canals and bridges, always seemed like a dream to him. He loved exploring it, but this morning was particularly unsettling. His wife, Lisa, had unexpectedly received an invitation to an important conference in Rome, and now Alex was left alone with Marina, his mother-in-law. Marina was a woman with strong energy and a vibrant character. She had once been Alex's mentor when he was just starting his career. She helped him with difficult projects, gave valuable advice, and always supported him. Now, years later, their paths had crossed again, but in a different role. Alex felt confused and excited at the same time. He understood that this visit could change a lot in his life. Lisa said goodbye to Alex at the airport.
Take care of Marina. Show her the city. She has been dreaming of this trip for a long time,
she said, kissing him goodbye. Alex nodded, but something troubled him inside. He couldn't shake the feeling that being alone with Marina might be challenging. Marina arrived the next day. Tall, elegant, and charismatic, she immediately filled the house with her energy. She looked stunning in her formal suit. Her smile was enchanting. Alex felt a certain tension hanging between them. They exchanged pleasantries, but he noticed a curiosity in her eyes that made him uneasy. She looked around, assessing the apartment's interior, and her gaze often lingered on Alex. The next day, Alex suggested they start with a tour of Venice. They visited the Accademia Gallery, where Marina admired the Italian masters.
You know, Alex, you're a great guide. Lisa's lucky,
she said with a laugh. Alex felt the tension begin to ease. They spent the whole day wandering through the museum's halls, discussing art and taking photos. After the museum, they went to lunch at a small restaurant by the canal. They sat at a table on the terrace, enjoying the view of the water. Alex shared stories about his projects, and Marina talked about her travels. They laughed, trying various dishes, and gradually grew closer. Alex felt the old barriers begin to crumble, and they were becoming close again. The next few days were spent exploring the city. They visited the Doge's palace, famous bridges, and other attractions. Marina made even the most ordinary activities special with her enthusiasm. Every day began with a cup of coffee at a small cafe, where they planned their route. One day they decided to visit the market. Marina examined each stall with interest, buying spices and souvenirs. Alex felt her energy charging him. They laughed, trying street food, and enjoyed the city's atmosphere. One evening, they had a picnic on one of the bridges, watching the sunset and discussing their dreams. One evening, while walking along the canals, Marina turned to Alex and asked,
do you think Lisa would be jealous if she knew how much fun we're having?
Alex laughed.
Probably, but what she doesn't know won't hurt her.
The words hung in the air, having a deeper meaning than they intended to acknowledge. The next day, Marina suggested spending the day at a spa. Alex hesitated, but her persuasive charm won him over. They spent the day enjoying massages and relaxing by the pool. The intimate setting heightened their awareness of each other, and the flirting that had started innocently now carried a dangerous edge. Marina often touched Alex's hand. Their gazes met and lingered a fraction of a second longer than usual. The morning began with a couple of massages that helped relieve the tension in their bodies. Alex felt all his worries dissolve under the skilled hands of the masseuses. Marina lay nearby, her quiet sighs of relaxation only enhancing the atmosphere of intimacy. He tried not to look at her, but every sigh of hers drew his attention. She was so close, and every breath, every movement seemed incredibly seductive to him. The masseuse, noticing Alex's tension, suggested he turn onto his back. When he opened his eyes, he saw Marina, who had also turned, and their eyes met. In her eyes, he saw warmth and relaxation. She smiled at him, her lips slightly parted, and Alex felt something inside him freeze. After the massage, they went to the pool. Marina looked stunning in her swimsuit, her elegance and striking beauty attracting the eyes of those around. She was confident, her movements graceful and light. Alex couldn't take his eyes off her. Every step, every movement seemed perfect to him. They settled on sun loungers, enjoying the sunlight and gentle breeze. Marina lay on her back, her body relaxing under the warm sun.
This is amazing.
She sighed, closing her eyes.
You deserve it.
Alex replied, his gaze lingering on her figure. She smiled at him, her eyes glowing with happiness. He felt his heart fill with joy and warmth for this woman. Their conversations were light and unrestrained. They discussed everything from work to travel, from future plans to memories of the past. Alex felt that with every word, they were growing closer. He watched Marina laugh, her eyes lighting up with pleasure, and felt his heart begin to beat faster. The following days of their shared stay became even more eventful. They attended various events, from exhibitions to concerts, and each time their bond grew stronger. Alex felt something more than just friendship growing between them. They spent time walking around the city, discussing their dreams and desires. Every evening they spent on the balcony, discussing the day that had passed and sharing their thoughts. The balcony became a place where they could be alone, away from prying eyes. They sat, looking at the city glowing with lights, and talked about the most intimate things. One evening, after returning from the theater, they sat on the balcony with a glass of wine. The conversation turned to personal matters, and Marina shared stories from her past. She talked about her first love, the difficulties she had to overcome, and how she became who she is now. Alex listened attentively, feeling his heart warm to this woman. He saw her vulnerability, her strength, and her beauty. Marina spoke about how she had to fight for her place in life, how she overcame obstacles and achieved success. Her voice trembled as she recalled difficult moments, but there was a fire in her eyes that told she never gave up. Alex felt his heart freeze with admiration for this woman. He realized she had become very important to him. They sat side by side, and Alex felt her hand unintentionally touch his. He hugged her, pulling her close, and felt her relax in his arms. Their breaths merged, and they immersed themselves in the moment. Alex gently kissed her on the cheek, and Marina responded with a warm smile.
You know, Alex, you've become very dear to me.
She said, her voice trembling.
And you to me too.
He replied, feeling his heart begin to beat faster. They sat, embracing, and felt something more than just friendship growing between them. This was a bond that had become unexpected for both of them, but felt so natural. Their nights on the balcony became even more intimate. They discussed their feelings, shared their dreams and plans. Alex felt it becoming harder to ignore his feelings for Marina with each passing day. She had become someone very important to him, and he couldn't imagine his life without her. They spent nights discussing the most intimate things, sharing their thoughts and feelings. Alex felt his heart fill with love for this woman. He realized he could no longer hide his feelings. Their bond had become something inevitable and insurmountable. This evening became particularly significant for both of them. After dinner, Alex and Marina returned to the apartment and went out to the balcony. The city glowed with lights, creating a romantic atmosphere. They talked about their dreams and desires, laughed, and enjoyed each other's company. The balcony, adorned with twinkling lights, created an atmosphere of magic and coziness. Feeling free and relaxed, Marina sat on the table on the balcony and invited Alex to come closer. He approached slowly, feeling his heart begin to beat faster. His hands instinctively reached for her, and he hugged her, pressing against her body. They sat next to each other, and their hands accidentally touched. At that moment, they realized they could no longer ignore their feelings. Alex leaned in and kissed her, his hands sliding down her back. pulling her closer. Marina wrapped her arms around his neck, responding to the kiss with equal passion. Their breaths merged, and they fully immersed themselves in the moment. Alex felt her body tremble under his hands. He gently ran his hands down her back, and then began slowly and carefully unbuttoning her dress. Marina froze at first, but then relaxed, trusting him. Alex took off her dress, and it slid smoothly to the floor. She was left in just her lingerie, her figure illuminated by the soft light of the balcony. Feeling arousal and slight embarrassment, Marina wrapped her legs around his waist, pulling him closer. Her breathing became uneven as she felt his warmth. Alex kissed her neck, his hands exploring her body. She moaned softly, their passion growing with each second. At that moment, the world around them ceased to exist. Their bodies moved in unison, their hearts beating as one. They couldn't stop. Their bond grew deeper. Their kisses became hotter, their movements more passionate. Alex felt her body tense, her hands gripping him tightly, her nails leaving marks on his back. The evening on the balcony became a turning point. Their conversations turned to whispers, and the tension between them grew. Alex looked into Marina's eyes and felt drawn to her. Suddenly, as if by agreement, they moved closer and kissed. This kiss was filled with passion and long-awaited tenderness. They spent the whole night together, discussing their feelings and plans for the future. Alex realized that they had crossed a line, but he couldn't stop. Their connection had become something inevitable and insurmountable. They lay in bed, embracing, and talked about how much they meant to each other.
Do you really want this, Alex?
Marina asked, slightly hesitating. He answered without hesitation.
Yes, Marina, I want to be with you. I can no longer hide my feelings.
She smiled, her eyes sparkling with tears and joy at the same time. Alex gently kissed her, his hands gliding smoothly over her body, exploring every line and curve. He slowly removed the remaining clothing from her, feeling her skin covered in goosebumps from his touch. Marina shuddered at every movement of his, her body trembling under his hands. She sat on the table, wrapping her legs around his waist, pulling him closer. Alex pressed against her, their bodies merging into one. Their kisses grew more passionate, their movements bolder. They couldn't hold back their feelings. Their passion flared up even more. The neighbors could hear their moans and sighs, but it didn't bother them. They were consumed by each other, their world reduced to their bodies and feelings. Alex and Marina moved in unison, their bodies trembling with pleasure. They couldn't stop. Their connection grew deeper and stronger. Their night was full of passion and tenderness. They didn't sleep, discussing their feelings and dreams, sharing their most intimate thoughts. Alex realized that Marina had become something more than just a friend or mentor. She had become part of his life, his soul. In the morning, they woke up still feeling each other's warmth. Alex looked at Marina and realized that he couldn't live without her anymore. They knew that difficult decisions awaited them, but they were ready to face them together. The next day, Alex and Marina tried to behave as usual, but everything had changed. Their morning coffee was filled with silent glances and brief smiles that said more than any words. They knew they couldn't continue this affair, but they couldn't tear themselves away from each other. Every time their eyes met, a spark ignited between them, rekindling memories of the night on the balcony. Marina suggested taking a short vacation together to sort out their feelings. Alex agreed, and they started planning their trip. They understood that this was their last chance to be together before returning to reality. They went to a small town on the Italian coast, far from the hustle and bustle of Venice. Spending days on the beach, enjoying the sea and sun, they allowed themselves to forget everything around them. Their days were filled with laughter and joy, and their nights with passion and tenderness. They walked along the shore, holding hands, and savored every moment they had together. Alex couldn't get enough of the sight of Marina in her swimsuit. Her laughter was like music to him. They rented a small house by the sea where they could be alone. Evenings were spent on the terrace, watching the sunset and discussing their feelings. Alex hugged Marina, her body pressed against his, and he felt her shiver from his touch. They talked about what would happen next, how they would live after this vacation. Deep down, they understood that reality would soon return and change everything. As Lisa's return approached, Alex and Marina realized that their affair had to end. They spent their last evening together, enjoying each other's company. In the evening, they sat on the balcony, discussing their feelings and saying goodbye. Alex felt his heart break at the thought of not being able to be with Marina anymore.
I will never forget these days. Just never tell about it, my daughter and your wife, Liza.
Marina said, her eyes filled with tears.
I won't either, and sure I will not tell her about our secret.
Alex replied, feeling his heart break. They spent the night together, savoring their final moments of closeness. They lay embracing, listening to the sound of the waves and enjoying each other's warmth. Alex kissed Marina, gently holding her close, trying to remember every moment. In the morning, they returned to Venice. Alex drove Marina to the airport, and they said their goodbyes, knowing their paths were diverging.
Take care.
Marina said with hope in her voice to come again in the future and repeat their journey with her daughter's husband. They hugged each other goodbye, and Marina left. Alex watched her go, feeling a part of his heart leave with her. When Lisa returned, Alex realized he couldn't forget the days he spent with Marina. But he also knew he had to move on. Their story would remain in his heart forever, a reminder that sometimes life throws the most unexpected surprises. He met Lisa at the airport, trying to be happy and cheerful. But deep down, he knew his heart still belonged to Marina. Alex returned to his routine, but his thoughts often drifted back to Marina. At work, their eyes would meet, and each moment was filled with memories of that unforgettable night. He remembered their days together, every moment, every kiss. It felt like a part of his heart stayed with her, and he could never forget her. Despite this, he tried to be the best husband he could be for Lisa. He understood that his feelings for Marina were temporary, but real, and now he needed to return to his life. He knew he had made a mistake, but he didn't regret what had happened. He understood that these feelings made him stronger, helping him realize what he wanted from life. Months passed, and life began to return to normal. Alex and Lisa started planning their future, talking about children and new projects. But deep down, Alex would always remember Marina, their affair, and the moment they were together. Each encounter at work was filled with tension and hidden passion. Sometimes, they exchanged brief smiles full of unspoken words. The story of Alex and Marina had ended, but it left an indelible mark on their hearts. It was a story of love, passion, and the inevitable changes that come into our lives. And though their paths had diverged, they would always remember the moments they spent together and the bond they shared. Alex knew their story would stay with him forever, a reminder that life can be unpredictable and amazing.